We are closing in on mid-season, and that means that we are starting to see the playoff race. Now, we have the current AFC and NFC playoff contenders in front of us. You will not be seeing them, but sorry about it. It is on the AFC side, it's the Chiefs, Texans, Steelers, Bills, Broncos, Ravens, and Chargers. And on the NFC, it's the Lions, Commanders, Falcons, Cardinals, Packers, Vikings, and Eagles. And those are the division leaders plus the three best teams in the conference. We are going to go through and tell you who is a contender and who is a pretender. And we could have gone through and done this for, I don't know, 25 teams, because I think we're at that point in the season where even some of the teams that have 2 wins, they could turn things around. But just to keep it a little bit more short and concise for you, we're just keeping it to the current active playoff picture. So we'll open things up with the 1 seed in the AFC, then move to 1 in the NFC, then 2 AFC, 2 NFC. We'll go like that. And I believe we're going to have the same take on the Chiefs and that they are contenders.
Yeah.
However,
they're contenders for the weirdest reasons.
Yeah, it's not their offense. It's not Mahomes. It's their defense being lights out. And it's not a fun lights out either. It's just a gritty lights out. But we'll have a Chiefs talk in a future episode where I will be civil about it. Moving on to the NFC, where we've got the 6-1 Lions as the 1 seed, and I'm sure we both agree on this one too, that they are the ultimate contenders.
Yep.
Both.
The Lions are winning in the weirdest ways. Again,
85 passing yards, was it?
It's actually fun to watch, though. So there's that.
Goff had 85 passing yards, was it?
I think he ended slightly higher than that.
Maybe like 86. All right, I gotcha.
Yeah, he didn't break 100. He had 3 incompletions, went 12 for 15 and 3 touchdowns. It was, it's, as I said, an interesting way to win.
Hey, they winning though.
By 52 to 14. That's a very interesting stat line for the quarterback to have.
Yeah, the Lions are just dominant in all facets. And then the Texans, I think they are contenders if they can continue, or if they can stay healthy from here on out, because they just lost Diggs to a torn ACL. Nico Collins has a hamstring injury. It's not a torn hamstring. It's not anything that's keeping him out for the season, but he's going to need to come back. Tank Dell is going to need to play at a high level. And then they're going to need one of either Xavier Hutchinson or John Mechie to step up in the absence of
the 2 guys above him.
Diggsy.
I'd say that they're contenders, but it's kind of like it's thin ice as of right now, because I feel that you haven't been seeing CJ Stroud play as well as he did the year prior. That makes sense. Offense is down for most of the league because its passing defense has really shown out this year. So that's not to be expected. But they got Joe Mixon, and he's playing great ball. So you just got to hope that enough weapons come up in that wide receiver room to make sure that it's not just like the Joe Mixon show and teams don't hone in on that. You still got to get CJ Stroud those, he has to have some weapons to throw to. And, they're looking good. Diggs will be out for the year, though. I don't think that really shakes them out of the contending stage, though.
Yep. Then this 2 seed on the NFC side, we've got the Commanders. I think they're contenders. I think their defense is getting better. Mike Sainristil and Johnny Newton are both really nice rookie pieces for them on defense, and it's cool to see them both doing well.
Yeah, the defense is definitely doing quite well, because this is a team that has nearly won multiple games, like just field goal kicking. Like this past week, if the Bears didn't score and if they didn't need the Hail Mary, which the Hail Mary is just such a lucky, thing that happened, but they were set to probably win the game just with field goals, because that's like how the game was shaping up. And they've done that twice, and it's like, yeah, that's not something you would love to see, but they're winning the game with just the field goals. It's the defense. It's just all phases of the team kind of working as one to make sure they get the win. And to me, that's what a contender is.
Yep. Then the 3 seed on the AFC side, the Steelers. I think, as much as I love Justin Fields, I think if Fields were still their quarterback and they were still just squeaking out wins and he was throwing for like maybe a touchdown a game, I would probably be labeling them as pretenders. I think with Russ, they've been bumped up to contenders, though. They're showing to be a potent offense. Their defense is as good as ever. And I don't see them slowing down. And they're in a tough division, but they're leading it right now.
Yeah, it's a tough division, and they, at first I thought, okay, Russ is playing well because there's like the talk of whether or not he'd be the starter, and there's not a tape on what Russ has been with this offense yet. But this week there was tape on what the offense looked like with him, and he looked miles better than last week. So if you think that the trajectory is going to at least stay even, like if he keeps this level of play, if he doesn't get better from right here, I think that they're still contenders. And we've seen Steelers fall apart late in the year, 11-0 season for them. That was ugly.
Yeah.
But it also was ugly how they got to 11-0. And this is Steelers football. Like, they're not going to ever really win pretty. They're not going to win convincingly. But when you got TJ Watt and your offense is able to go despite Arthur Smith trying to not make it go, it's hard to say that they're pretenders when they've played as well as they've had, like, especially with Russ. Like, damn it, why did Russ have to look this good?
It's a Sean Payton problem. It's not a Russ problem. 3 seed of the NFC. Let's blitz through these a little bit faster if we can. Mm-hmm. Falcons here, I think they're contenders. Well put together offense, and I don't know about their defense, but if their offense can keep scoring, they can keep winning games.
Yeah, I think contenders, and on the defensive side, Jesse Bates is doing things.
True,
He's
they've got
doing
Bates
great
and
things.
Simmons, yeah.
And they've really locked up that position. They refuse to get pass rush. Don't know why, but
they got Judon. They tried.
Yeah, they preferred him over. They'd rather have Michael Penix and Matt Judon than anybody else. You're right.
Yeah. And then 4 seed in the AFC, the Bills, definitely contenders. They just got Amari Cooper as well, so he's still getting worked into that offense. He didn't get a ton of. I don't think he saw a ton of snaps this past week, but they didn't need him to. They were pretty dominant from the outset, so no reason to risk injury to your top guy. Well, probably second guy now. Keon Coleman's popping off.
True. Contenders here for sure. They're trending upwards. They made a trade to make sure they continue to trend upwards, and Josh Allen is playing fantastic. He's keeping the ball safe. It's, abnormal when you look at the little recent history of Josh Allen, but they're doing it. They're contending. It's going to be a deep playoff run for them. We'll see how it ends. And then kicking off into the 4 seed of the NFC, we have the Cardinals, and this is the first one that I'm kind of feeling is a little bit of a pretender. They're 4-4. They're only here because they're the top of the NFC West, because the NFC West is 4-4 across the board nearly, and it's a tight-knit division. We kind of called out the Seahawks for being pretenders when they were 3-0. And the Cardinals at 4-4, they aren't doing enough consistently. When they play good, they play great. And if they showed that more often than they do, then I would have no worry calling them contenders. But they don't.
Yeah.
They flip on a dime on what team's going to show up on Sunday.
Yeah, agreed there. I think they're good, and they can be good, but they need to stop making these games so close. Like, they need to actually show that they can dominate a team, because I feel like all of their wins have or at least 2 of their wins have been last-second field goals, and the other 2 I can't even remember them. But it was Packers and Dolphins. They won on a last-second field goal attempt, I think, and that was just like they can't rely on that for the whole season.
Back to the AFC, we got the number 5 seed with the Broncos, and this one, boy oh boy, it's hard to even support the Broncos, and it's crazy when you consider the play of the division that on this AFC side we have 3 teams from the AFC West. I kind of have the Broncos as a pretender. I think that they make the playoffs still. Shocker. I don't think they're going to contend in the playoffs. whatsoever. They're going to be a wild card loss, exit. They just simply aren't playing. They're playing the way the Broncos have played for the past few seasons, just somehow they're getting more wins in the win column than they have previously. Bo Nix is playing, better than I'd say any of their past quarterbacks have been of recent memory. Russ.
What about
But I don't
Paxton
think
Lynch,
that's
man?
enough.
First round pick Paxton Lynch. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the Broncos are pretenders. It's just that Sean Payton loves running the system that Bo Nix has run for the past 5 years of college ball, or 6 years of college ball, however long he was in there. But he's run that same like just short dink and dunk system, and Sean Payton loves it. So they're a match made in heaven, and unfortunately, it's leading to success. Shout out Matt, I guess.
On to the fifth seed of the NFC, NFC North rival here. We got the Packers, and they felt a little shaky at first, but they're still winning games. They're still able to. Like Matt LaFleur is a genius. Like it doesn't matter if you have Malik Willis or if you have Jordan Love, they're winning games. And so I've got them still being contenders as much as it hurts me to say.
Yeah, I agree. I think Malik Willis has the best passer rating in the league with minimum of 30 attempts or something like that. So, yeah, it's kind of insane what they've been able to do with him. And I think they said something about him checking out of a play this past week when he had to come in for Jordan Love. Like he called an audible at the line and scored or got like a big play out of it. So, or no, it was the Jaden Reed wheel route. That was not the play that LaFleur had called. Malik Willis switched it to that, and it worked out for him. So if he's able to be a competent quarterback and Jordan Love is, Brett Favre reincarnated, but actually good sometimes, I think they'll be good. They'll be contenders.
Yep. Now onto the sixth seed AFC. We got the Ravens. The Ravens, they're contenders. This is, we had our questions since we got past like number 3 on if these people were going to be contenders. The Ravens, they're just contenders. They might not be at the top of the AFC North. That's the Steelers. That's why they're not at 3. But they are very good. Their defense is shaky.
I mean, shaky at
when
best.
You have an offense,
their defense is not good this year.
Yeah. When you have the offense being as potent as it is, if some wide receivers could just catch the damn ball,
Cough, cough. Deontay Johnson trade.
Yeah, they did make sure that they could get someone that could catch the damn ball. That was Deontay Johnson in the 6th for a 5th, right? You said.
Yeah,
that was the.
It was, and it's all this year, so it's basically the Panthers moving up like probably 15 spots at the most. And it's in exchange for Deontay Johnson. But yeah, I think the Ravens are contenders as long as they're playing good teams. I think they check themselves out of games against bad teams too much. It's why they have losses to the Raiders and the Browns, and it's why Lamar Jackson only has one loss to an NFC team, and it was the Daniel Jones-led Giants. So they get too cocky. I feel like they check themselves out of they'll play a bad team, they'll score like 25 unanswered, and then they'll be like, all right guys, just coast. And then the bad team just is like, oh, they're coasting, okay, let's win. And they win. But yeah, still contenders.
They meet their opponent. They don't rise above the opponent. They meet them there, and they play a competitive, tough game that they somehow will let get away from them if it's just a really bad week for the defense.
Yeah, but I think when they're playing good teams, they'll be able to, they'll take it more seriously. So come playoff time, as long as they make the playoffs, I think they'll be just fine.
Yep. Number 6 seed in the NFC, we got the Vikings. They were sitting pretty at 5-0, and they've dropped 2 in a row, 1 to the Lions, 1 to the Rams, and as if you look at the Rams' record, like it's not the best record, but it's one that really is an outlier. Like this game for the Rams, they had everybody back and healthy. So I'm not going to say like, oh, well, the Vikings just lost to a bad team. No, they lost to Stafford being Stafford and having his wide receivers back. So I don't take these 2 losses to mean much for the team. However, it really will define them where they go from here. But right now, I still have them as contenders. They have had an elite defense, It's just that when they play an elite quarterback, elite defenses tend to, not be as elite, and that's just no surprise there.
Yeah, they've got losses against Jared Goff and Matt Stafford, and I don't know if I'd classify Jared Goff as like an elite quarterback, but that Lions offense is an elite offense, so it's tough for anything to defend against them. But yes, I agree. Yep. They are contenders yet.
Yep. Hey, look at that. The 2-6 seeds both gaining that contender tag right there. And then number 7 of the AFC, we got the Chargers. And I just don't have much faith in the Chargers this year. This year, it's a hardball first year. It's not going to all come together immediately. I kind of have them as pretenders. They haven't had healthy Herbert for a little bit. Now they got players actively targeting him. And I feel like this is, if any team on here was going to be a hard pretender, I think it's the Chargers for making this list.
Yeah, they're just not convincing in any of what they do. I think that there are plenty of teams in the AFC that are getting healthy and going to be getting better. Namely the Dolphins and the Bengals, where I think they'll probably edge out the Broncos and the Chargers. And I wouldn't be shocked if the playoff picture was Chiefs, Texans, Steelers, Bills, Ravens, Bengals, and Dolphins, or something like that. There may be another AFC team that I'm just completely spacing on, but yeah.
None that coming to mind for me right now.
Yeah, Chargers, I am again agreeing. I think they are the most pretendy of the teams in here.
On to the Eagles, the 7th seed of the NFC. Okay, so, there was certainly fire the head coach calls early on, and they certainly looked worthy of firing a head coach early on. And then they've had a couple weeks of actually stringing together good-looking games and dominant win this week. But I still just can't really get much faith behind them. If they are a contender, I'll eat my words. But right now, I don't trust what they have. It's the same argument I had with the Cardinals. The Eagles, they have been inconsistent, but they have just been able to win more. Like, okay, they're 5-2, Cardinals are 4-4. The Eagles are inconsistent and win versus the Cardinals, who are inconsistent and then sometimes lose. I don't believe in the Eagles. I haven't from the start. I don't think Nick Sirianni is exactly a great role model or personality in the room. And I've got the Eagles being a pretender as well at number 7.
I think I'm going to disagree with you here. I think they are contenders. I don't think the West is strong enough, or the East, sorry. I don't think the East is strong enough for them to actually feel like pretenders. And I think that Saquon being there really elevates the offense. And Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean have been looking better as the season goes on, as rookies typically do. So they may have started out a little rough, specifically Cooper, but I definitely think they're trending up, and their team is whole, if that makes sense. Like, they've no Jason Kelce, still got a good offensive line, great running back, competent enough quarterback, great receivers, and then the defense, if it can, keep its head on, then they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I'll counter your opinion there with I have 100% faith in all of the players, that the players are good players and they have talent. It is simply the coaching sphere of the game planning to be competent enough to win in the playoffs. I think that, if I think that they could make the playoffs, I do. I think that they'll get smoked in the playoffs by any good team because I don't see them. They have an easy schedule moving forward. As you said, the East is light this year, and they're going to kind of be able to beat up on these teams to make the playoffs. And then when they meet adversity is when it's all going to kind of crumble down in the playoffs.
It all remains to be seen, but I think they're going to be a little bit better than you think. I think you've got a bit of an anti-Eagles bias, and I acknowledge it, and I kind of agree that I don't really like them, but I think they're a little bit better than you're giving them credit for. But We shall see, and I will
they've
be.
trended good this past few weeks for me to think like more of them. But then it's like they gain a cockiness after a couple of games of seemingly being competent, and I don't like that vibe. So I'm not yet bought in on them, despite the fact that I like where they're heading.
Yeah, I think that Sirianni is like the Queen of England. Like he don't actually do anything. He's just kind of there. Like you just look at him and you're like, that's the head coach. But what does the head coach do? He doesn't call offensive plays. He doesn't call defensive plays. He doesn't even talk to the team. So I think that he is the incompetent part of that group, and he doesn't do anything. So I don't think he can hurt them that much outside of just in the media. But that again, this is I will be happy to eat my words if they end up sucking. So we'll just have to wait and see there. But now we can get into NFL stocks. Thank y'all for watching this segment. If you did enjoy that, let us know what you think about the contenders and pretenders. Give us your opinions. Disagree with us. Yell at us even.
Please, Eagles fans, get in the comments and give me good reasons to change my mind. Outside of like, oh, I love Nick Sirianni. How can you hate him?
He's so
Don't say it,
nice.
please.
Yeah. Thanks for watching this segment from the Franchise Tag Podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like and hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss the full episode coming out tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central. We've got even more in-depth analysis, hot takes, and football breakdowns coming your way. You don't want to miss it. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Spotify, and Twitter for clips, full episodes, and live tweeting during the games, among other things. We've got Franchise Tag Player of the Week that drops every Tuesday on our main Twitter, and then just some other throughout the week interactions from us on our individual Twitters. All of those are going to be down in the description below, so make sure to hit those. See you soon.